If you know who I am, you would know that Earthbound is one of my favorite games, Mother 3 being my favorite out of the whole Earthbound trilogy, but nonetheless still a favorite. Please bring it to the Switch, Nintendo, what are you doing? But when discussing Earthbound, you cannot forget Mr. Saturn. I'm Troublesome Junction, and I'm bringing you the review of the Banpresto Mr. Saturn. Now, I have yet to see a really good video showcasing this guy because the other ones I see are either too short, really low quality, and no effort was put into them. So I figured that I'd at least throw something a little bit better onto the table. No offense to any other creators, of course. But now looking at the box, of course up here you do see the standard Banpresto logo as I'm trying to get it to focus in. And then over there you have Mr. Saturn's Japanese name, seeing as these were exclusive to UFO catchers in Japan. Down here is the Mother 2 logo, which is basically just Earthbound in Japan, and all of the licensing information for Nintendo. And on the side of the box, it showcases all of the different figures that are in this range, at the top showing you the actual figures in the lineup, and then at the bottom shows you all of the pixelated version of in-game sprites of other characters yet to come. I seriously want that Porky Minch figure. But anyways, on the back of the box it just is simple warnings and all of that, you know, your typical spiel. But down here you can see it says ST10, meaning that this figure was released in the year of 2010. You will see most figures in Japan having that licensing information on it. And on the side of the box it just shows the Mother 2 logo with a Mr. Saturn sprite in the bottom corner. Top has the same deal. Overall, I honestly really like this box. Now moving on to the actual figure itself, he's actually really quite good. Now the C mark on the side for where it's glued together is pretty noticeable and bad, but overall this is a really good figure, from the detail from the hair and the bow, even down to his nose and face. It's all really crisply painted and it just looks like Mr. Saturn's clay model. I would still say that C mark though is really noticeable and I wish they did better on that. On the back is the licensing information from Nintendo/Ape Incorporated, which are the people who worked on Earthbound. Now you won't believe it when I say this, but the bottom of this Mr. Saturn figure has not been shown on YouTube. So here it is. Now, it does have two little peg holes for when you put it on the base itself, which the only thing on that, it's just a green base with licensing information, and one peg hole is slightly bigger than the other, and put simply, you just plug Mr. Saturn onto it and he stands on there. I know on some of the figures, I believe that the pegs are in their feet rather than on the base itself, so I'm quite glad that they did that so you can just take him off and have just Mr. Saturn without the base. And overall, I really have not many complaints about this figure. He looks great, he's in good scale even with the Lucas amiibo and the Ness amiibo. Now speaking of scaling, let's talk about how big he is. He stands at roughly about 2 inches when he's on the base and probably a little less than that without it. And comparing him to the Lucas amiibo, because I can't find the Ness amiibo, he looks really quite nice and scales really well of how he does in game. I would honestly recommend that you get this if you do have an Earthbound collection, because one, there isn't very much merchandise for Earthbound, and two, he just looks really quite nice. Overall, I give this figure a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think the C mark on it does bring it down a little bit, but come on, it's Mr. Saturn! Now Banpresto Earthbound figures aren't exactly the cheapest, but I managed to pick this guy up for about $25. And if you're like me who likes to take pictures of your toys out and about and, you know, make them look like, oh, they're in certain scenarios with other things, I'd recommend this guy a lot because he just looks great. And if you could put him next to just about anything, and it just adds a bit of a comedic relief to it. That's all I gotta say about this figure. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more gaming and Thomas the Tank Engine reviews, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.